Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Hello, everyone. You're about to listen to a show from Ernestine. She is a musician and somebody who's gone through a great deal in life. There will be a couple of swear words. Please do not be offended. Please listen to the content. I know it will move you. Enjoy the show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of For the Love of Music, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. My wonderful guest today is Ernestine Day. First time podcasting, which is hard to believe. We're going to be talking about how she opened up to herself, her music, her spirituality, and how she came off antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications, the discovery of herself and her intuitive soulful guitaring. We're going to be talking about that Alchemist Intuitive Soulful Guitarist and how she channels the music and how it opens her up to actually understanding not her own soul, but the soul of the land or the soul of the spirit that is all around us. She is somebody that really, the music is her. This is why I love interviewing musicians. They're not looking out there, where do I belong? When they have an instrument in their hand, whether it be their voice or an instrument, they become one with the music. And she allows that synchronization energy from her soul to come through her heart and engage fully with the universal flow that is wanting to express it through her. So she opens herself up to spirituality, to that divine connection. And here she allows that to come through her. And we're going to be finishing off with a song today that is called the Journey of Life, and this beautiful story around it. So stay with us, folks. She began playing with a looper. Not sure what that is. We're going to find out, and quickly recognized how this added other dimensions to her music and allowing her to go even deeper into receiving new depths of levels of energetic flow. And this continued to evolve and continues music journey today. Um, she lived here on Vancouver Island. Don't know why she left. She's got to come back. It was soulful music for her right here. She's traveled throughout Canada. She's now in Abbotsford in Canada. But every journey that you've taken has been an awakening, hasn't it? We're going to call her Ernie, because that's what she goes by. It's an awakening. Every destination you have is sometimes you go, why am I here? I just don't feel it. But then there's something you download from it, something you get from it, even if you're only meant to be there a while and then move on. But every destination, every piece of land, every beautiful divine spirit that's around you is always going to give you something you need on your journey of life.
Oh man, yes. What a way to open. Because we don't necessarily understand consciously that we're being guided all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
But we know we don't understand. We don't need to intellectually understand. It's
No.
just to trust. It's like, you know, when, in 1980, when I felt well, it was late 1979, when that part of the journey started, when I just knew that, okay, I need to find myself, and to stay here is not going to do it.
Right.
And my heart and soul's always been guided to Vancouver Island, because my dad's brother lives there, and I was there a couple of times, and every time I was there, just I left and I cried because I'm leaving this amazing island.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, just I could see literally flying by the seat of my pants if you really think about it, and not to analyze it. Is just drove across Canada in February 1980, went to Calgary for 6.5 years, and then I needed to get to the island for my heart and my soul. And you know, so October, I think it was October the 11th, if I remember correctly, because it was Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
in 1986, and I arrived just an hour before dinner.
Good
It doesn't
timing.
just, yeah. And while I was on the island, I ended up going up into Nanaimo, and spent about 20 years there, but I found this amazing 5-acre ranch that was um, 5 miles in off the highway. So it's total peace and quiet and
Mm-hmm.
serenity, and the property is very special. And when I got there, I had no idea that's where my journey is. That I was, I was accused by some members of my family and opinionated people. Oh, you're
Plenty
running
of those
away from,
around. Yes.
yeah, you're running away from your problems. You need to stand there and deal with it. And I never felt that,
Mm,
even though they said that, but I didn't feel that way. But they never ask, as we know.
right.
But the thing is that I was going to a safe space
Mm,
and place for me to start my healing journey, for me to understand me. And then in 1996, I used to say, which I no longer say, but I'm going to put it this way, is that I lost myself. But it was
mm,
actually, I was finding myself, but I did not have this incredible community I now have in and around me. So I did not understand completely what was going on.
yes, I understand.
And that's when I got caught up in the Western medical system, and ended up on anti-anxiety and antidepressants since then. And these last 3 years of my life and my world, whew, there's it's incredible, just incredible, because to start connecting with people and finding all these people, and that people speak and express themselves the way
Mm,
I do.
yes.
And I've come to understand more about myself. And I could say this craziness that society puts on us, there's
Mhm.
something wrong with you because you're crying.
Right.
We need to
Yeah.
fix you. But here's the thing is I've been wanting to come off these antidepressants, anti-anxieties for a couple of years. But every time I tried, it was never good. And the reason why now I know,
Yes.
the reason why, because on October 21st, Spirit said to me, it's time.
Hmm.
And I went, okay. And, we have the memory of the experience trying to come off
Yes.
versus now. There's always a
Yes.
difference. And sometimes we get caught up in what was. And so because of the connections I've had around this amazing community, there's hundreds of people that I know. My God, I'm blown away. Amazing healers.
Hmm.
And, I reached out to 9/11 people, and to be a part of my support team, because I didn't know what it was going to be like.
Right. Yeah.
And just to have, not putting the weight on one person,
Yes.
but have a team of people, because
Yeah.
they're all unique and gifted in their
Mm.
abilities and stuff.
They're all a
And
different note in the instrument.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And my friend, my longtime friend Deb, she said to me, she's a complete intuitive, she's a complete channel all the time. There's never a time she's not. And she goes, you'll be off these in 6 months.
Hmm.
And I was thinking maybe it would take me 2 years. And sure enough, 6 months,
Hmm.
almost to the day, almost to the day.
The
But
come on.
um, so when I start coming off these medications, because I did it with ease and grace and through the guidance of my
Mm.
friend Deb in that. But what was happening is when it was time, I could feel this fogginess in my brain that I was
Hmm.
not really aware of. It was there because it was normal for me.
Right.
But because of my inner work that I've been doing, the consciousness and
Yes.
raising, and now it's like this fog. And what started happening, that as I come off these medications, there's this energy, and I'm so grateful that I have my guitar
Mm.
that to go to, because and everybody that has been hanging around with me for the last 8 months have had the full bore of me expressing myself and
The new
expanding
birth.
within. Yeah,
Mm.
it literally was.
Mm.
What a
Mm.
wonderful way of saying that. And it just like all this energy was coming through me and all these vibrations, and I remember at the beginning saying that, wow, if this is an indication of me coming off of this stuff, look out, world.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's more about myself, but you know, and it's been just,
An
it's
incredible
been
self-discovery,
totally
right? But it was
amazing.
always who you were meant to be. The thing
Yeah.
is, I've suffered from depression, and somebody put it the other day, empathic depression or spiritual depression, right? And
Mhm.
the thing is, my depression is, you talk about society, and I have bucked society for so long because this dictation, this delusionment, this expectation from society that you've got to be this, and if you're not, there's something wrong with you. I grew up with that. I was an incredibly spiritual person who did not fit into this square box. And there were many, many times, especially older, when I had children, thinking, well, maybe I should hold the spirituality back and, try and be normal, and apart from a bad marriage, but it opened up that depression box even more because I was denying my soul and my spirit's voice. And I think so many of us end up down on these. I have the pills for the rabbit hole because I was going down the rabbit hole. You know what it's like when you have that despair and you feel someone's come in and just pulled your guts right out, and you cannot rationalize it. You can't do. I think if you asked 98% of the people who committed suicide, did you mean to die? I bet they would say no. I just wanted to stop the pain. Right. And so I
Yep.
found some pills that stopped that pain. And if I feel the rabbit hole opening up, I take them for about a week and I stop. And I'm there now. I'm happy to be there. I know I've got that if I need it. But I also think very often the depression and everything we're going through is because we are denying the spirit. We are denying that because we're so busy trying to live up to everybody else's expectation. We're not living up to our own soul and heart truth. And when you take that journey of no more, as you said, the fog began to clear, the fingers on the guitar started to play, the truth of who you were, or who you are and who you're meant to be was finally set free. You don't need antidepressants for that because now you're at one with yourself. And as far as society is concerned, you don't have to be a part of that society. You can choose
Exactly.
your own tribe.
Exactly. Because that's a thing that we get, just what you just described is perfect because it's like I I've always known I was different.
Mm-hmm.
And I can look back and say, well, I never got invited to, parties or
Mm-hmm.
gatherings and all this. Well, because I don't fit into that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with me,
No.
but we keep on altering ourselves in hoping
Ah,
that
please
society,
like me. Please
yeah,
like me. Yes.
exactly, exactly.
It's
And
painful.
it is very painful what we put ourselves through.
Yes.
And because we think we have to act, say, behave a certain way, for, in order to be whatever other people
Mm.
want me to be, but
To be
it's
accepted.
to be accepted and included. And, it's, I'm just, when I reflect back on my journey, I'm blown away of my amazing choices.
Mm.
Amazing choices.
Right
Not
choices.
my choices,
One that
exactly,
honored you.
that honored me. And
Yes.
it's like, I spent 20, 25 years, whatever it was, on Vancouver Island. And you know, because I was in Nanaimo, and I moved back to Victoria, and that my relationship ended, and then a bunch of things, and we thinks we can go to the thinking brain that things are happening to me. Why this happened to me? There must be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
But sometimes spirit works in the most amazing way
Mm.
because it crumbles everything there to
Yes.
set you free so you can take the next stage
Right.
or
I
the
call that
next
the
step.
Haglas, the Celtic rune disruption.
Yeah,
It's like, when you look at your house, I've got to clean the house. You're going to
yeah,
make everything disruptive before you can find the clarity. So, that disruption there is to shake things up that you no longer need
yeah,
so that you can start seeing the clarity of what you really want to keep.
exactly. And it's like, for me, it's like, okay, my partner at the time, like, we were talking and we both wanted to go to the mainland, right? Because what was happening for me inside was I was feeling this restriction because of my music. I know I want to get out to the world. And it's only a ferry ride from, to get across.
An hour and a
But
half, beautiful ferry ride. Come and do it,
abs-
folks.
oh my God, it's breathtaking when you go through all the islands to get into
I did it
Victoria.
last night, sitting outside, and as the sun was setting, coming home, coming to the
Sweet.
island, home to peace and quiet. Ah, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But yet I felt this, if I want to go do something, because there's not a lot of music venues as per se, or options for me, I'll put it that way. And that's where I ended up coming to the mainland. And, it's like, because now I can, if I find a place and I want to go, I can just go.
Yes, that's the benefits of living kind of in a bigger area. You're in Abbotsford, it's probably about 45 minutes when you're not in rush hour to downtown. And of course, at night it's, kind of quicker. But even Abbotsford itself has grown exponentially with a
Oh my
full
God, yeah.
force airport now and everything. So, and I know a lot of artisans over there, Shiraj Walji, one of my co-pilots. And it's what we're realizing, we don't necessarily want to be in the chaos of the city.
No.
But we also know that there's certain vibes and frequencies in the city that when you catch them, they're good to be a part of, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes you see things better from the outside where those vibes are than being in it, because otherwise it can sometimes get a bit like a tornado.
It can. And the thing is for me, is that because I was living in White Rock, and then I
I live
ended
there
up in,
too.
oh, I love White Rock, and
Yes.
if I, to be quite honest, didn't want to leave, but then I ended up in Burnaby, and I just, to go anywhere, I just felt this dense energy of
Yes.
just, it's the,
Compression. Yes. Yeah.
it was
Yes.
horrible. And I waited, what, 2.5, 3.5 years, something like that, around 3 years to get into this place. And this is meets my needs, because nobody's above me, nobody's below me.
Mhm.
I'm on ground level, right? I only got one neighbor to my side. And this is a very unique complex. There's only 8 units per, I call them pods,
Yeah.
but there's only 8 units, four in front, four in back.
Right.
But it's so tranquil here,
Yeah.
and it just meets my needs. And because now, if I, like last year, I was back in the studio and I was going to Coquitlam, and because I love driving.
I do too. Yes. It's very therapeutic as long as you're not in rush hour.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Or deal with really crazy people, and it's
Uh-huh.
just
There's
like,
quite a few of those around.
exactly, because it was straight down the highway and then 5 minutes off the highway,
Mm.
which is nice. And but it was so nice to be able to come back. And as I'm coming back towards, I could feel this. Oh, here I am.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, because whenever we are all searching for a, not searching,
Sanctuary. Sanctuary.
sanctuary. Thank you. That's,
Yes. That's
yes.
something I'm moving to Nanaimo because my daughter has two babies, and I adore my children. I had to wait until 66 to become a grandmother, and I adore my one grandson's 25 months old, and we have a wonderful rapport. The other one's 3 weeks. So he's a newbie, but he's gone through so much already. They broke his femur, bringing him out, and he has Down syndrome, and there's just a lot against him. So the first 3 weeks was very, very chaotic. All these tests done, and this poor little thing in a vice where he couldn't move and he couldn't get dressed, he couldn't have a bath. And then last week, finally, at 3 weeks, the vice came off and he had his first bath. And then he's wrapped up in this towel, and you could just see a in his face.
Yeah.
Where my
Ah,
daughter lives, she's kind of 5 minutes from the airport in the Cedar area by the marshlands.
yep.
And you sit there
That's
and you're
your,
watching the bunnies run, the hummingbirds coming, the woodpecker, right? And they've got a big piece of land, and it's just so peaceful. So I'm going to be moving somewhere. They're in negotiation of where to move grandma. So at some point this year, I will be moving to Nanaimo. And when I'm there, it kind of reminds me of England because I grew up in the countryside. And I remember as a child going to bed way too early, because for me, the night is when I come alive. That's when I start seeing and hearing and everything else. But the birds, the sound of the birds as they tweet at night, is so soothing, all the different sounds there, and even the sounds of the wind outside. And I think, did you ever see the movie August Rush?
Oh, yes.
Now that,
Yes.
for a musician, I imagine that movie was absolutely fantastic. And for people who haven't seen it, please go see it. It's
Yeah.
2007. Go and see it. It's a young boy that's been put in an orphanage. His mother thinks he's dead, and the father never knew he existed, but he knows he's going to find his parents. And he can hear the wind rustle through the cornfields. He can hear the cars going over the grates in the city, and everything then can transpire into music for him. And I thought, I hear you, I see you. I'm not a musician, but music for me is heard around, right? And this is the thing is, we've become so linear that, this music is going to dictate how you feel. This book is going to dictate. This show is going to dictate. This is going to dictate. The fashion is going to dictate. Dictate. And what we don't do is allow an experience, be present and still enough for a moment to allow. And it's like the art of doing nothingness is so fulfilling, because what you come away with is
Yeah.
such a wind behind your back to propel you forward in doing something extraordinary.
And it's called get the fuck out of your mind.
Exactly.
Go into your heart space,
Exactly. Yeah.
breathe in your heart, and that's the whole thing about trusting what's coming to you. Don't try to think about it.
No,
Just be with it and nurture that, because if you nurture that, it's going to expand, and that's where your knowledge is. That's where everything you need to
1
know.
million percent. I'm a knowingness coach. And so the knowingness is this. You allow whatever you want to call it, Gus, God, universe, spirit, I don't care what you label it, but it is a divine, wise energy. When you open up to it, it comes to you and it resonates in your heart. And you really feel it in your heart. And you give it to your spirit to get into action. And it extracts from the mind what the mind needs to know in that moment. And that is knowingness. And we can't have the knowingness unless we surrender to the wisdom. And when we do, and like you pick up the guitar, or I get onto the keyboard, or I do a show, and we download that, right? It's just like, it's a surprise to us when we look at it. You know what? I just downloaded that. My God, I needed to know that. I didn't know it was within me or wanted to come through me. But we're so busy dictating what you want out of life, or what this or what that, because it's an outside impression. We're not listening to the enrichment and the abundance that lies within us, right?
Yeah.
Setting ourselves free to be.
And to be who we truly are, not what we think we're meant to be.
And also not being, I did, I do those 5-minute spurts. And this morning I was kind of compelled to do one after having a weekend with my family. And I was compelled to say, one on the holding on to the past and bringing your pain of the past up with somebody present. It's not their past. They've got their own past. Leave the past where it belongs. Because if you keep bringing it up, you're bringing up somebody else's mistakes, and you're making your current partner accountable for it.
Yeah.
That's not how you build love.
Mm-mm. And with that, this is what's coming to me, is that be conscious of your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own emotions. Be conscious of them. And go within with that and ask yourself many questions. And the biggest question for me is, which I find a lot of people do, and it's not a judgment at all, but they project.
Yeah.
When I say this, because do people really listen to hear what the other person's saying? Not the words that they're saying, but are you really listening to hear what they're saying to
the
you?
feeling of the words.
The feeling of the words and the energy, and we can get into that side. But the thing is that a lot of people in their brain, it's like I had a meltdown about 3 weeks ago, and all I said online was, I need hugs and loves,
Yes.
because that's all it needed to be said
Yes.
publicly at that
Yes.
moment. But that's what I needed, and that's what I'm learning for myself. I don't need to explain fuck all to anybody.
No, you don't need
And
to rant and rave, because you
no,
know you're
no,
going to get the rant and ravers on the joining the bandwagon, right?
exactly. And all I said, I need hugs and loves. And I know there's only a couple people who said, well, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that, and I'm thinking, and that's where, we project,
Yeah.
because we want to help people. Yes, we all want to help
Yes.
people. But the thing is, if I ask, for example, I need a hugs and loves, it's just that. I need hugs and loves.
You
Doesn't
need
matter
that good
what.
vibrations.
I need that
Yeah.
incredible, amazing love and vibration
Yeah.
from others.
Yeah.
And because here's the thing about energy: as much as we have a thought,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if we take that thought and we focus on that thought becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then if we turn around and decide to give it, write it down in a book, I'm not saying do not do this. That is not what I'm meaning when I say
Mm-hmm.
this. But because when we write, we're looking for a clarification within ourselves, because that's part of,
Mm-hmm.
how I see us connecting to get answers back if we're willing to listen to ourselves.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is about speaking, because if you take that thought and you're speaking about it, what happens, that energy now is shifted. It's
Mm-hmm.
getting bigger. Then you start sharing it with other people. Well, look out. Yeah,
Orchestra.
it's just like crazy. And that's the thing that you know we need to be conscientious about, with our thoughts, because we think of something, we do have control.
We
This
do.
is
And just the point on asking for a hug on social media, there are some people that pitch, pitch, pitch. Or, some people are looking to climb on a bandwagon. And I have found through the years, I've asked for, I explained what was happening to my little baby Louis, my new grandson, and just asked, for just really, I just kind of explained what was happening, and, it was upsetting, obviously, and the amount of support. Right. And then my sister going in for yet another operation. So I put out, another thing for her. I've been blown away, blown away. And my young daughter did, I didn't get it. I don't know these people. I said, you don't need to know them.
no.
Every single person, even if it's only a positive energy for you in that moment, counts. And I do believe, like I'll give you another example. When my mum was dying, and she wanted to die. She was in so much pain. She was 95. She wanted to cross over, but didn't know how. And my sister was with her, and she had a big bay window because they put her bedroom downstairs, and it was a dull day. And I put out a prayer for my mum, prayer for the angels to come and take her peacefully and not battle it. And my sister said the next day she went to make a cup of tea, and it was a dull day. And when she came in, there was sun streaming through the window on my mother. And my mother's eyes were open and her hands were open, and she had passed peacefully. That was less than 24 hours after I'd asked for that prayer. And I had 130 people not just but say prayers for your mother. And I 100% believe that that positive energy is what she needed to cross over.
Exactly, because here's the thing of the biggest thing is, a lot of people don't know how to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is a consciousness and a choice that we
Yes.
get to do, and be aware that we have that ability within
Right.
ourselves and not resist that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I was there when my mother died, and some people get very disturbed when I speak about my mother on this level. She didn't want to be here.
Mm.
She was a very angry, bitter, resentful woman who
Mm-hmm.
dragged everybody into her ugly shit,
Yes.
right? And you
Everybody else's
know
fault but her own, right? Bitter and twisted.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And because when I went back home to PEI, just to, I didn't know she's going to still be alive when I got there, or she's going to die while I was there. I was only going to be there for 2 weeks. And then what happened was, when I got there and I was looking around, not one single person, with all her siblings and all her friends, not one single person other than her longtime boyfriend, Papa Stewart, was there to help her.
Yeah.
And I went,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can't leave.
Right.
And I stayed no regrets. But when it was time for mom to cross over, that that it was quite interesting. There's all kinds of events that happened around that. But the biggest thing is this is because that was my first experience with death. It was absolutely beautiful
Mm-hmm.
because my mom could not, in her human form,
Yeah. Surrender.
surrender. When as I say this, is just not, there's that part, but there's also, she couldn't see me for me
No,
until about 5 days before her death.
yes.
And when she did cross over, she gave me the most beautiful gift. The tip of my head to the tip of my tongue, telling
Mm-hmm.
me I did good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I felt that. And that's the thing about, for me, with death, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
There's nothing to be fearful of. And because I didn't know what I was walking, I knew my mom was going to die, but to
Yes.
actually be there and experience is a different level.
Right.
But with what you were saying about that, you know, back in 1991, I did not have this connection with other people because internet was not a big thing then,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? It was, and yeah, well, I didn't expect to go there.
I'm glad you did because I was put out a show. I've been listening to Jay Shetty, and one of them is he did an interview with Trevor Noah, who I love. I call him the infinity understander because he always has the ability to see both sides with such clarity. I'd love to have interviewed him. I hope to one day. And Jay Shetty also had Gabriel Mate on, where he was talking about trauma and experience, and that nobody likes the experience of going through a trauma. Nobody said, I'm going to go into trauma to get an experience, right? But we have the experience, and he says we're like to label it a trauma instead of just understanding it's an experience,
Yep. Yeah.
right? So suffering is a choice, struggle is part of life. It's how we learn through that struggle of life and who to become. I totally relate to you where people don't see me. My son sees the spiritual side of me. My daughter and I, we don't look alike because her father is Chinese. She looks more like him, but everybody knows she's my daughter because our spirit is, a same signature. And my other daughter is very earthy and down to earth. She's the one that needs me the most. She doesn't see the spiritual side. However, she's great at promoting me and this and that, etc. Just doesn't see Sarah, sees mom instead, right?
Yeah.
So when you've got somebody you love that finally sees you, I see you for who you are, and I love you. That's what
Mm,
that doing good is. I see you for who you are, and I love you for who you are. People
yep.
don't understand. That is the biggest gift you can get from someone, to be
Yep.
seen for who you are.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about, being here today, this journey I've been on for you know, is because I connected with Todd Medina, who is Sology,
Mm-hmm.
and and he was given that name and told what to do with it. He brings on 1 to 3 people a day to speak their truth, their story.
Right.
And when I met him in January of 2020, and was like, oh my God, look at all these people. Holy shit. And I start connecting with this amazing community and with my music because they've helped me to see myself
Yeah.
and accept myself and embrace who I am
Mm-hmm.
without feeling that I have to live up to something.
Mm-hmm.
It's
What
not
a
about
waste of
living.
time. What a
Well,
waste
it
of
is.
energy. Oh.
It's about, and that's where this journey of mine in this last 3 years have been priceless
Mm-hmm.
because I'm to be amongst people who see me, but they're even seeing me before I see myself,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And but always appreciating my music because I used to think I had nothing worthwhile saying
Mm-hmm.
because of my past experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is, it's I want to be able to show up and speak and talk, but don't ask me not to say my truth.
Right. Well, how we became connected was purely through social media. And you were commenting on things I was saying. I was commenting on things that you were doing and saying. And it was like, and she's a musician. Okay, I've got to have her on because I liked what you were saying. And that
Wow.
is called paying attention. And I say this all the time, we've become headliners. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
right? We don't look at content. We don't look at context of the content. We're too lazy to read, to listen, to absorb what is being said. And if only we would give it that gift of time to listen and absorb, we would realize what we're chasing out there is right in front of you. And I could see through things that you were posting. She's been on the journey. She is on the journey. You're in your own self discovery. And then you sent me your music and then listening to your music. And I go, yeah, yeah, her truth is in there. And I draw the analogy a great deal, funny enough, on we're all here to discover what our instrument is, whatever our
Mhm.
instrument is. We learn how to play it so we can be great soloists. But now we join an orchestra where in each of us, in our own strength, can come together harmoniously to play that transcends out to everyone else. But that orchestra isn't going to be strong if each player isn't at home with who they are and their gift. So it is important for us to know what our gift is. Yours is literally music, but somebody may be writing, somebody may be this, somebody be that. Don't let other people tell you what it is. They could see it in you and coax it out of you. That's different.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
who see you from the inside out, okay, come on out, come on out. I
Yeah.
see you. But you should, I don't, I've been doing this 11 years. You know how many people, you should do this, your podcast should do that, you should be this, you should be that. And I said, you know what? I'm just doing it as Sarah.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. There are God knows how many million podcasts out there.
Yeah.
I'm here doing my style. For people who want to listen to my style, I'm not offended if
Yeah.
nobody wants to listen to us.
Yep.
Because maybe they're not ready. Maybe we're not their cup of tea. That's all right. I'm here for the people who truly do want to listen. They
Yeah.
want to learn and they want to apply it to their own lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And that's where we are all messengers. We're all here
Yes.
for a reason. And if you take your reason and make an agenda, that
Mhm.
ain't going to work. You're putting
Yeah.
an obstacle,
Limitation.
limitation.
Limitations.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, one of the biggest lessons for myself has been, you know, just trusting what I'm doing
Mhm. That
and
was your
giving
gift to give. The divine gave you this gift for you to share this gift.
to clarify, and I agree with you, but I'm my these last, especially these last 4 months coming off these medications,
Mm,
is that when I say the word I'm learning to trust myself, I always
yeah.
trusted my music, so it
Yes.
wasn't that. But
But your
what's happened,
music is you.
my music is me,
Yes.
exactly. And but the thing is when I say trust myself, is it's almost like I've been dipping my toes in and
Hmm.
ooh, that was nice. And so I'm
Yes.
learning to trust myself to expand even more.
Right.
And if you listen to my music, especially in the last 4 to 8 weeks, the like I'm literally getting the fuck out of my own way
And
and just
allowing.
exactly
Yes. Letting it
allowing
flow.
and it's like, whoa,
Exactly.
whoa, I just
Exactly.
did that,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's, like it's just, it's the most amazing experience for me
Yes.
to learn to get the fuck out of my own
Yeah.
way, because for a while there I was thinking, okay, I need to maybe, and then it's like thinking that, well, there's only one person or 5 people, whatever, watching what I do. It really doesn't matter how many people are watching.
No.
I'm here to take this energy that is here and express in whatever way, shape, or form it is, And you know, I've been told this, that I have a letter that was written by Jesus
Mm-hmm.
for me from a friend of mine who is embodied Jesus. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
no separation, but he wanted me to know, and he said to me that I can't wait for you to understand the impact and the imprint that you're having and how you're affecting others. I
Exactly.
cannot wait till you see this for your, see it
Well,
for,
that's why you're here today.
yeah,
I saw it
exactly.
in you. I saw what you were saying. I saw what you were feeling. And you know what would be absolutely great if you it took just videoed you doing one piece of music once a week, putting it up there for others to experience it, right? To let other people share that music because I don't know if you know of Sam Weiss, Weis. She's an author, she's an artist, she's also a musician, been playing guitar since she was 7.
Mhm.
And she did a number that was last week's, just a couple of weeks ago. So, highly recommend you listen to her music because she's all guitar. And I know that you will relate. But she did one number called "The Shape of Time" because she sings along with it, not just instrumental. But I know in listening to the words and listening to the music, she is the artist who sees the shapes, not a linear of time,
No.
not a one thing after the other of time. It's seeing all the beautiful different angles of time. And through that, we open up our own lens. That's what music does. When I am feeling depressed, if I am feeling anxious, I put the headphones on and I go to music, very often without the words, just the music, because I know the music goes in and resets my equilibrium. It resets vibrationally my balance. It is my soother. It is my connector. It is that hug that I need to say, I've got you, right? But it also becomes my clarifier. And if I'm busy doing admin or writing anything at that time while listening to the music, it's amazing what I get done.
And exactly, and like for me, of course, my music is my vehicle, but it's, for me, if I'm struggling energetically wise with anxieties or anything,
Mhm.
my go-to is my guitar. I for Yeah, my go-to is my guitar, and I'm just only
It is
because
your spirit.
it's my
Yeah.
spirit, it's my
Yes.
soul,
Yes.
and and I'm learning and understanding to understanding that's whenever I go through something, it's my vehicle, but it's not my vehicle to hold within me.
No.
It's my vehicle to share with others. So that's
Yes.
why I do lives no matter
Mm.
where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm going through. As soon as I pick up the guitar, I'm online.
You are present.
I'm very present, and
Yes.
whatever energy needs to be expressed, and it's like anybody who's been following me for a while knows this, that it's about energy in that moment. I cannot duplicate what I did 5 minutes ago. I
Hmm.
cannot duplicate it.
No. People say to me, can you say that again? No.
No,
When
right?
I'm in my flow, I have said it, it's spoken, and
Yeah,
I can't repeat it again. I might get the gist of it, but you won't get the same words because I was in flow of it, right?
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's like, and this is one thing that, speaking of this level of, and is that, a beautiful sister of mine, Susanna Mara, she said to me a couple of years ago, "You're an alchemist." I said, "No, not me, not me." She goes, "You are," but she didn't force it. She just
Yeah.
planted the seed.
Yes.
And then in August of 2021, um, that I'm going to go back a little bit. I did some recordings for Suzanne, which is one of her songs, and then that's how I stumbled into this part, is as I was recording and I'm listening back and I start picking. Now I've never picked in my life,
Mm.
and I went,
Explain what a pick is for people who
oh,
aren't musicians.
okay. Um, like I'm a
Mm.
rhythmist, you could say. I have my own style of picking, like
Mhm.
rhythmically, right?
Yeah.
The best way I know how, and I don't have all the labels and the titles and
Right.
all this shit, right? But the thing is that I started actually picking to that recording I did. So I was picking up
Mm.
notes to it.
Ah.
And I went, ooh, that was nice. Ooh, that was nice, right? And so I went, and then it's like I felt I needed something that would allow me to record, but it'll keep on looping that track.
Right. That's what a looper
And
is?
that is what a looper
Okay,
is.
all right, now we know. So what is a looper?
Yeah.
I've seen the
And
movie.
yeah, exactly. So I phoned up my music store here, which is along McQuaid, which is all across Canada. And I said, and I just spoke to the guys, look, I need something where I can record and it'll play it back and repeatedly. And he goes, you want a looper? And that's how the
You're
journey
right.
started. So he recommended this model, which is the Boss RC 505, which I now have the Mark II. Original one I had was a Mark I. And I got that tool and it was like, holy shit, there was
Yeah.
this part of me that did not have a way to express itself. So for
Uh,
these last almost 2 years, when I got my looper, that that this has been a learning for me and
mm,
understanding of how this all works.
yeah.
And it's the beautiful music that's been channeled because of this incredible, amazing tool now is a part of what I do, because it's allowed me to expand, and that's where the dimensions come in.
Yeah.
And then with these last, as I already mentioned, those last 4 months of my life musically is taken to another plateau,
Mm.
literally to a plateau. And then the end of March, Spirit said, it's time for you to start a sound bath. I didn't
Ah,
even
yeah.
think, you
Yes.
know, I've attended other sound baths and they're friggin' amazing.
Mm.
And it didn't even come in. I went, okay. And I just started doing it. And then all of a sudden the brain goes, well, you compare myself to other people. And I went, no, 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 no,
You
no.
are not wanted. Exit right now. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I went, no. And there's this trust, and that's what I'm speaking about, the
Yeah.
trust and
Yeah.
faith and
Yeah.
everything that I am and what I'm doing here.
Mm.
Do I understand it? Nope. I don't
Don't
need to
have to.
understand it.
You just have to
Right?
be present with it. That's it. Right?
Exactly.
The
So
clarity comes in the being of it, not the
exactly.
defining of it.
Exactly. And so 2 days later I did my first sound bath. Like honestly, God, was the first and third Sunday of every month, right? That I do a sound bath. It's set in stone now, and it's going to
Mm.
stay that way. And it's just, but that experience was phenomenal to do my first sound bath. Not alone the second and the third, and I'm about to do my fourth one this Sunday. And and so it's
It's the
like,
discovery of you with it. Every time you play
yeah.
something, every time you discover something, you are learning more and more about yourself. As I
Yeah.
said, I've been doing this 11 years and it's been my great self-discovery through other people's journeys and discovering things about myself, because I was always on the no, you can't, no, you can't. You're not educated because I was a sickly child, missed so much school. You're not educated. You're not academic. You're not this. I'm dyslexic and I do things the wrong way around. And my spelling is awful, folks. If you see me writing something and the grammar and the spelling is awful, just ignore that. Look at the content, right?
Yeah.
Because it is. I use Grammarly. It's not always great, but
Yeah.
I was always looking at what I wasn't and
Yeah.
feeling I was disappointing people, right? And then it was when I started just doing what I do and just allowing,
Mhm.
keep your judgment, keep your all that chatter out, not wanted, and just be. And you can't do this type of thing without being engaged, without allowing the flow, without opening up those doors to let things out that we need to know. Because very often, what you have said, you didn't intend to say, but the universe wanted it to be said.
Yeah.
And you can only do that if you're in that vibration of flow. Now, nobody else can tell me how to get into flow because that is your own personal journey. That's your own allowing, your own surrender, your own willingness to trust that universal energy and go with the flow. And I think one of the biggest problems we have in life is that everybody's trying to control it. I think when you realize that we have no control, right? But we have more control when we go with the flow.
And the question is, why do you feel you need to control?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
You
Yeah.
know, it's just like other people's action, behavior, and conduct. Why do we need
Yes.
to feel we need to try to control them, to shift them, to you can't say that, do that? Excuse me, step back.
Yes.
I'm finding now I'm more observing,
Hmm.
right, and not engaging.
Yes. And I find that I'm in the place talking to the person I need to be talking to that needs to know what they need to know because I've been like that since a child, and I'm there to help speak on what I need to know that they need to know at that time. It's
Yeah.
not preordained.
No.
It's just the place, what they need to know at that time. And I
Yeah.
don't know about you, like with your music, sometimes my words are over there, I'm over here.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Oh,
already
fuck yeah.
gone out of me. It's just extended out of me. I'm not conscious of it.
And I think that's where with me, whatever, because I never know what song I'm going to play or
Right?
how I'm going to play it. I never know.
Isn't it
And,
exciting?
oh, it's fucking amazing.
Yes. And then
Be, be,
listening back and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're right.
well,
I'm like that with my writings.
yeah, and for me, it's like if you know, because all my lives, you know, you see me,
Mm,
and I'm sitting there like, so you know, I got a 5-track looper, and so I get to add layers, and I call it layers and flavors, right? But I'll sit there and you know, and I'm being with the music, listening, and I'm going, fuck, I just did that.
mm.
And I'm being with the energy, and I could feel this immense, like, fuck yeah,
It's an embracement. It's an
it
embracement.
is.
It is like the sound bath. It's like you have just dipped into the waters of love.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's
And and I can't articulate it to
no,
anybody because,
because there
you
aren't
know,
really the words for it.
there's
They
no
don't do it
words.
justice. It doesn't do it
It, it,
justice. No.
it
Yeah.
doesn't. It just,
No.
it's about being and being present. And that's where I get to be present every single moment
Yes.
while I'm playing. I'm very
Yeah.
present.
And that, you can hear that in the music. And that's also why I say I love interviewing musicians because that music is speaking who you are. Now you've got some musicians and some artists, they want the fame, the glory, the money. But the real musicians, it's their instrument, whether it be their voice or whether it be an instrument, is the extension of who they are. It is the articulation of who they are. And if you like the music, then you know you're going to like the person because they are one of the same, right? Because it's that umbilical cord that's
Yeah.
there. Don't cut it. I still
Yeah.
need the life force. And that's what I love about musicians, and in some ways envious because I never could play an instrument. I think part of that was the dyslexia. I'd always read the notes differently, right? Or I couldn't read them at all. I can't read manuals. I
Mhm.
just don't see the order of them. But when you see those things written backwards, or upside down, I can read that, so go figure. So it was all hands-on learning, participating, immersing, and that's the way I feel that artisans are. You are immersing into it and allowing it to become what it needs to become.
Yeah. What you just said remind me. I'd like to share this, that I was raised with traditional Scottish and Irish fiddle music. There was always house
Beautifully, yes.
parties
Yeah.
every weekend at our house or somebody else's house. And my dad was a guitar player, fiddler, piano player, bass player. My mom played piano, but my dad is the one who's gifted.
Hmm.
All right. And I'm not taking away from anybody else when I say that. So, um, but what happened was, I would, when there's a house party, I was what oh, there was something about the guitar I was always drawn to, and I would watch what the guitar players are doing with their left hand by putting them on the strings. And so when my parents weren't at home, nobody was at home, I would go into my dad. Dad always kept his guitar up in their room, and I take my dad's guitar, go down what we call the green stairs, because we lived on a farm, right?
Hmm.
So long
Yes.
driveway, and I taught myself how to play guitar.
Mm.
And my parents never knew, but
That
I
you
found
nicked
out.
dad's guitar.
Yeah. And a few years ago, before my dad crossed over, he told me that he knew. He said, "Your mother and I." And when he told me, and I could, I remember, not remember, but I recall
Recall.
that, right? And he said, one day we came home, and here you are plunking away on the guitar, and your mother and I stopped. Going, listen, listen. And they there for a bit, and then they went out and made all kinds of noise and, and up the
Right.
stairs. I never knew they did
Yeah.
know. And eventually, I started, coming out of the closet, you could say, and start playing. But what I do is I do not know how to read music. My mother was hell bent that we were going to go to music camp and learn an instrument, learn how to read music and all this shit. And as I look back, that I remember we went to Mount Allison University in New Brunswick for a summer camp, and I played clarinet, and you have to do a solo. Well, I couldn't freaking play because I can't play that way.
Right.
But then what they did when we got into the bands and I started playing, they knew, okay, I call it sight reading. I don't
Hmm.
really read the notes. I do sight reading, and I know exactly when to come in. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do,
Yes.
right? And but my mother, she was so hell bent. Even piano player. I was to the point I could take the piano as your typical, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
the left hand and the right hand. And I was getting really good. My mother's determined that you're gonna go take piano lessons. I didn't want to, and I begged my dad, and he sort of felt he had his hands tied with my mother, you could say. And that music teacher was the wrong music teacher, Mrs.
Yeah.
Dunning. And I'll never forget her name because she took away something that was already naturally inside of me. Instead
Yes.
of her nurturing and
Yeah.
and and letting me expand the way and it's I could say the word, it killed that part of me.
Right.
I'm now working on getting that part of me back because I know what I'm capable of.
Right. I've got another series called the Forgotten Children series, and I'm saying this all the time. Look at the gift your child is, whatever they're drawn to. And I don't care if they're drawn to a dozen things over the months and the years. Let them experience all of them. Be behind them,
Yeah,
because from that, they will discover what their real gift is and they will nurture it. Don't start dictating,
yeah,
right? I live with a 90-year-old whose mother was a wonderful pianist. And every time she plays the piano, oh, I'm not as good as my mother. My mother would be ashamed. And I would say, fuck your mother. And she'd look at me and I go, you're not playing for your mother.
you're
You're
playing for
playing
you.
for yourself. Or does it bother you? And I said, no. In fact, if I'm working and I've got music being played in the background, I absolutely love it. But she's still apologizing for not being as great as her mother. And it's
Because
not your mother's life, darling, it's yours.
exactly, because we compare
Oh,
ourselves,
that's so
and
deadly. Comparison
it,
and competition, deadly.
it's the worst thing we can do to ourselves. And you know, we've all done it,
We
right?
have, because society again dictated it. Are
Yeah,
you as good as this person? Do you look like that person? Are you as rich? Are you as educated? Are you as pretty? Are you this? And if you're not, then for you are a failure. Balderdash. No, we're not.
yeah,
No, we're
no,
not. We're just, there's a beautiful word I was introduced to a few years ago, which I use all the time and I love it. Flawsome,
floss.
right? We've all got flaws,
Yes,
but that's what makes us unique. And that's also what makes us awesome.
yes,
So why can't we embrace our flawsomeness? What is perfect? Perfect is a feeling you get from an experience at the time,
in the moment,
in the
in that
moment,
in
in
that
the
split
moment,
moment.
perfect moment.
Yeah.
Perfection is not, oh, she played it perfectly. I'm a big one to watch all the musical competitions, singers and things like that. And you got somebody come out and they sing perfectly and it was all very good. And then somebody comes out and they crack or they go off pitch, but the emotion is exuding from
Oh,
them. And you're just
yep,
like, oh, you're in that music.
yep,
Give me those kind of musicians.
yeah. Because and that's one thing I love about what I get to do. Because, and even when I make a mistake, I just smile.
Yeah.
I just smile, and because
You're just being flawsome.
it's just being flawsome, and I love that. And because it's like, and I've said this, that I cannot go into a recording studio to record a song. I can't that is not how I operate at my best.
Right.
Because first of all, to go into a recording studio, like, and I'm talking about now, I'm not talking about, last time I was last year, right? I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
I now know, and I've always known that that's where, I got some people that can be helping me set up, some software on my computer so I
Yes.
can record at home. Because this is, it's like I have a Zoom H5 recorder sitting right
Hmm.
here. And whenever I played, that thing was going every single time,
Yeah.
right? Because I cannot recapture that
Mm.
moment
Yes.
again. And that's the thing about setting up software in my computer. So when I am playing, as much as my Zoom H5 is capturing things, that I'm able to capture in my software.
Yeah.
And then the software that I have and going to be upgrading that is then I can edit better, because
Yeah.
using a looper is a whole new ball game versus
Mm.
voice, just
Yeah.
voice or anything. And because, yeah,
But
so
it's an exciting way, because you've set yourself free to discover various ways of doing things. And I think if it was Patti LaBelle, there's some comment made on her. She never sings this one very popular song of hers ever the same way. She's sung it
yep,
thousands of times and always
yep,
sings a different way. And my
yep.
mum was a stage actress. And, her performance would be slightly different every night according to what the energy of the audience is. I'm like that if I go into guest speaking. I prefer a more intimate thing. I'm not a big crowd thing. I have everybody stand up and do 3 deep breaths because I want them to let go of what they came in with. And in letting go and everybody taking that breath, we're now kind of more in sync and in unison because I'm feeding off the energy of the audience. And if I'm sucking, it's because your energy is all over the place.
And just with what you're saying there, that's something that I'm now being aware of.
Hmm.
And I'm talking about a conscious level about other people's energies. And no wonder, because I'm understanding myself, or to understanding myself, because I listen to a lot of people and I know when somebody says something, if it's truth or not. Do I need to understand it? Nope. I
Nope.
just know it's truth.
Yes.
And then, and it helps me to understand myself. And that's where it's like, I'm doing things so differently now than I was even a year ago, let
Yeah.
alone 10 months ago
That's
and
called
5 plus
growth, darling.
3
That's
It
growth.
is growth. But
Yes.
that's where, as I shift, everything shifts.
Mm.
And it's like, right now, like my intentions very clearly, which I've already started connecting with people, because like the thinking brain, which I don't operate well on that side, be quite honest, of, okay, I need to start connecting with people so I can, get my music out there. And like, I want to do some concerts and, like there's areas and I can feel the areas that
Yes.
I want to do concerts, but it's connecting with people that have the venue to support what I do, because I know that when the people come and hear what I do, it's going to alter their life and alter their day to the.
Yeah. There's somebody else I don't know if he still does it, but he has it's like a tea cafe. And he
Mhm.
does interviews from it, but he also has musicians up there in Abbotsford, right? So
Ooh.
I don't know
And
if he still has it after COVID. A lot of people kind of went differently,
yeah,
but he may still. So
well, and this is the whole thing, because it's like I've been in this closet
mm,
and I know, I'll put it this way, I know it's time for me to really step up and
yeah.
expand. And one of the greatest gifts I did for myself was, um, I wanted to go to Sology Fest last year, which is the second one they've had. I wanted to go. And then just before, it was getting down to the crunch and all this stuff, and we know to cross over the border, there's a whole dance we have to do.
Oh gosh, yes.
And because of the people I know, I was able to do that dance,
Hmm.
get it removed, right? And and it was spirit divinely guiding every part, because spirit knew I need to go there.
Yes. Trust the
And
spirit. You don't argue with it. Please don't argue with it. It's futile. Go
yeah,
with it. Hmm.
just trust and
Yeah.
go with it. And the funds come in, everything happening, and I'm going, wow. But here's the thing: is this, to go to Sology Fest was the first time in 32 years I've been around people.
Hmm.
And it was just a couple of days before I flew out that I started to realize that. And I went, holy shit, but yet there immediately there was this feeling inside of me, you're going to be safe here because you're
Yeah.
my soul family.
Yeah.
And because I'm used to people expecting me to be this or that,
Yeah.
right? And are they going to respect me because I don't talk to people,
Mm.
right? I don't socialize with people because they bring other energies, and that's where I'm absorbing these energies. But the best thing I ever did for myself was go there, to be there, and the amount of love, the respect,
Mm-hmm.
the courteousness, where I didn't
Mm.
feel I had to talk to people.
Right.
They come over and just, said whatever they wanted to say. We exchange, carried on,
Yeah.
right? And it was the most blissful 3 days of my life that altered
Yeah. Yep. The
me.
trajectory of where you're going now. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait till this year to go to Soji Fest, because again it's going to be another plateau.
All
But
right. Well, that's the
yeah,
beauty of it. When you're willing to take your journey of your own self-discovery, you're
yeah,
willing to really embrace your instrument and not have somebody else tell you how to quote, quote, play it,
yeah,
but how to truly, honestly, from the gut, be it.
yeah.
The voice, I've just written my memoir and I just wrote it in 3 weeks. And when I started editing and reading it, it was like, oh, oh,
Ooh, exactly.
and like,
Yeah.
seeing a common thread running through it or certain memory come up or, the way I said it, because I didn't dictate. My brother's a professional writer. He's an author and he taught this for many years in high level master's degree. But even he was editing it and then he had a heart attack. So I'm going to have to try
Mm.
and persuade him to go back and finish it for me. But I was expecting him to go, oh, you can't say this, you can't do that. Because when he writes in his books, he's incredibly spiritual. He's very multidimensional, but not in the practice of his real life. That is two different people.
Mm.
But yet I didn't see the criticism or the cynicism that I normally would. And I thought, oh, then maybe there is something here that I need to say. And I think it's like when I got down, I had so many people say, now you write out each chapter this, you do this and you do that. And I thought, I can't do it that way. I've learned, box. I have learned that if I get the spiritual hand right here in the middle of my chest pushing me back, decline gracefully. But when I get something, there's no hand there and I can see the possibilities, explore, right? It still may not be right for me, but what I've explored and understood from it helps me in better decision making down the road. But if I see that hand, I mean, you can feel it right between
Yeah.
the just, and it says just no. And where in the past it will be, God, I feel guilty for saying no. I really should do it and this and that. And the answer now is just, thank you, no.
And just the word you just said is this, you should
Yes.
replace that word with a could. Now, if you
Yeah.
feel those two words,
Yeah.
should, feel the energy
Is
of that.
demanding. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. At
And
all costs.
it could is empowering
Yeah.
ourselves. I could do that, but you know what? I'm choosing not to. You
Yes.
don't have to articulate that verbally to the other person, but
Right.
us honoring ourselves. And, I could do that. Do I really want to do that? Ask yourself. It's like, I have to go and see this person or that person, or I have to go do this and do that. And I'm thinking, no, you have a choice. You don't
Yes.
have to do fuck
You
all
can
out
see
there.
them. You
You
can do
can.
this.
You,
Anything. I mean, if people have approached you to do something, they know you can.
mhm.
But the thing is it something that you should do for yourself, right? And it
It,
took me a long time to say no, because I'd bend over into a pretzel to try and be
yeah.
what they want, and then wonder why I'm broken.
Exactly,
It's
because we end up losing ourselves
yes,
continuously, because when we compromise ourselves for the sake of somebody else, because
yes,
we are friggin' nice people.
yeah,
We have huge hearts. We would do anything for anybody. But what happens is this, that we are learning that we have people, there's different words that people use, we can call them vampires,
hmm
bloodsuckers.
hmm
They're taking advantage of
piranhas,
your, Yeah, take advantage of your generosity
Yes.
because that's what they do. They just glom onto that. Where we have to set a limitation within ourselves and a boundary, very clear boundary within
Yes.
ourselves. I had somebody who asked me to be on their they they wanted to start, bringing people in to do interviews. I was asked to do this. I said, sure, I'll do it. But they tried to put me in a box,
Yes.
and I can't operate on that level. And after we were done, I could feel their energy,
Hmm.
and I just said, if you don't feel, I didn't say this verbally, it was in a text, that if you feel that this is not an alignment for you, because they're going, well, I have to edit, I have to do this. Like, all I felt was this
Yes.
heaviness about it all. And I could feel this, and I went, okay. And I said, if you feel this is not alignment, don't feel you have to
Right.
put it out. And
Exactly.
it was my way of giving herself permission not to do it, because I
Right.
already knew she didn't want to do it.
Yes.
And but in that experience with that person, that I learned a lot about people,
Hmm.
about this
Yeah.
person. And that's where, you know with me, like, I will always say yes, but I'm taking now time in between to really check in with myself. And it's like, when you reached out to me and asked me to do your podcast, I just immediately said yes, because I felt safe.
Hmm. Good.
I
Glad to hear
I
that.
I I felt, yeah, okay, this is going to be good. And then
We'd already
it's
connected on a spiritual plane anyway, right?
yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. And this person's actually in our spiritual
Hmm.
community.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's where, as much as we are what we are, there's all these galactic and all
Yeah.
these different energies, but that's just a part of who we are. But the thing is, for me, what's really important is our inner work. Take
Mm.
responsibility,
Yes.
and that
Ownership.
ownership,
Stop
because
pointing fingers everywhere else. There's three pointing back at you. Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, because I said to this person, because I have very clear boundaries, and I said, I cannot talk about this right now. Keyword, right now. I cannot talk about this. And they just kept on going at it.
Yeah.
And because I offered them to bring them on one of my platforms, right? Meaning Restream. And that's what I meant by that, to clarify. And to help them out. And all they wanted to do was talk about that. Like, I can't talk about this stuff.
Yes.
I cannot do this stuff 24/7 the way they
Mm.
want to operate their life. That's their choice. And I said, I can't do that. I can't talk about it right now. And they just kept on walking over my boundaries. So it got to the point, this is how I deal with people who cross my boundaries, because there's many different ways, but
Yes.
I'm talking about this situation, is that I just stop engaging with them.
Hmm.
Because why bother trying to have a conversation with somebody? They're not friggin' listening.
I hear you. And I when I first came to Victoria, I kind of made an effort to meet people, and I would do a monthly luncheon where we could all be together. And I said, look, we can all share what our businesses are. And yet, do we have problems in it? We could share that wisdom, but it's not a business meeting, right? It's a sisters meeting where, we're
Yes.
all there to help each other. And yet it ended up turning into people wanting it to be a network. And somebody even sent me an email. You didn't conduct the meeting properly. You should have done this and you should have done that. And I think,
When
yeah, yeah,
you do that.
yes,
You do that. Create
yes,
your own whatever it
exactly.
is. But this is mine.
This
Yeah.
exactly. And that, it's COVID came along and everybody dropped by the wayside, and that's the way it is. But also talking about spirit, just like in an orchestra, you have various people with different instruments, right? And you may not like the sound of every instrument individually, but somehow if their music's really put together well, that sound along with somebody else in his instrument sounds really good. I've got that in my spiritual community. I've got people where the way they play their music is way too fast and way too energetic for me because I'm more laid back, but I'm still a supportive because of the work they're doing. They're serving their energetic tribe, right? I can't join you on your bandwagon, in your tribe. I can't keep up, but I still respect the journey you're taking. And I think this is something important. Who is in your vibe tribe that's going at your pace? Those will be the people you will go back and forth to and have that conversation, because you respect the boundaries or the energetic level that person is at, or the where their energy goes, how deep or how high. You've got other people's energies that are faster, that are this, or that, or that. That's okay. We can still play with them, but just not on their playing field. And I think this is something a lot of people make a mistake when they quote, quote, become spiritual or go down the spiritual path. They've got to do it my way. It's got to be done this way. And if it's not this way, it's not spiritual. No, that's called religion.
Yeah.
Right? Spirit is about freedom. It's about writing your own beautiful spiritual vibrational wave from the universe. It's your signature. And that is the beauty of it when you discover who you are, what your frequency is, that love frequency you are, and the divine ignites it and amplifies it. It's absolutely incredible. But there are different signatures and different vibrations out there, right? And if you think that spirituality has to be contained and it must be this when, it must be that when, you've got to do this, you are talking religion. You are not talking freedom of spirituality.
Yep. And that's where you were saying a bit ago about people not taking responsibility,
Yeah.
because what they're doing is projecting, oh, look at that
Yes.
person, look at that person,
Yeah.
right? Don't look at yourself, because, even for me, that when anything happens, I go within, I take the time that I need to look within myself, to learn to grow within me, to see things for what they are, not what I think they are.
Right.
There's the actual event, but that's
Yes.
just the event. But there's more to that if we're
Yes.
able to step back and become more observant and reflect from within,
It.
not the details of everything.
Exactly. Exactly. And I find if people are like that and so detail orientated, one, they're a true colors gold, where they
Yeah.
love the structure, which is, we all need somebody who has those structure abilities. But anybody that wants to hold the reins too tight and
Mhm.
hasn't got the flexibility, I consider myself, I want to ask you, what tree are you?
What?
Tree are you?
I have no idea.
Okay. Think about it. All right. Reflect on it when you're next in the forest. I know I'm a willow tree. And
Mhm.
at my age and my experience of life, I'm deep rooted. I've got a good solid trunk, but my branches are able to really go with the wind any way it needs to go without feeling I topple over. But I had to become that willow tree. I had to kind of thicken out. I had to become strong. My strength isn't, I'm a warrior, I'm a this, I'm a that. No, my strength is I've become more gentle. I've become softer. I've become loving. So when that wind hits me, I know I can dance with the wind. It's not about me fighting the wind. It's understanding that I'm going with the wind. So think about what tree you are.
Well, because everything you just described, aside, I can't name the tree, but that's exactly me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm solid as can
Yes,
be within me, but yet I can sway, but I know where my
yeah,
limitations are,
exactly. Exactly.
and
And you ain't
not
going to push beyond those limitations,
no,
otherwise you break. Why should you break for anyone? Been there, done that,
been
right?
there, done it.
Yes.
Yep.
No.
And that's the thing about, take our life experiences, and the things that there's going to be events, there's always going to be things happening, but are they happening to us, or are they actually happening for us?
Exactly.
Because, and when I say this, there's a couple of things that have happened just this year. you know um, my ex-abusive partner reared her ugly head, the way I describe it,
Mm-hmm.
because I went to this gathering of a bunch of women at the beginning of the year, and right after that, within 2 days, she sent me a message, but it was pure manipulation, trying to get me to suck back in, and I just didn't. And here's the thing about time, is that that's where spirit was showing me how much I've healed. I'm not
Yes.
attached to this. I didn't
Exactly.
react. I
Yes.
responded. I just ignored it and blocked her. And
Right.
then she's reared her ugly head on my YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
Did the same thing. Block you. That's
Yeah.
all I do now. I'm not going
Yes.
to engage or try to be the
You
nicey
can't
nice.
you can't communicate. You can't do anything with these people. They're out for
Oh,
rampage. So the
yeah,
more you engage with them, the more you're feeding them. So don't
exactly.
engage. Right.
Just don't engage. And that's where, I had something happen 3 weeks ago when I had my meltdown, and but what I was able to see clearly, very quickly, just how amazingly strong I am.
Yes. Isn't it nice? When you're
And I,
faced with something and you realize, I can handle that. I'm not going to melt or
yeah,
break down or get upset about this. I can take a deep breath and release.
exactly. But here's the thing is I'm flying solo, meaning no medications in my system.
Right. Yes.
Because, and that's the big thing for me is
Yes.
like when I say I'm strong is I don't need to rely
That's it.
and
You
I
found your inner strength. You don't need found the outer strength anymore. Right. The drugs or
exactly,
anything else. Yeah.
exactly. And that's where
You are your
spirit,
own medicine.
I am my own medicine,
Mm.
and it's just like me asking hugs and loves. And then
Yes.
I did a live that night, not with the intention of saying what I
Mm.
said, but I just allowed whatever is coming to
Mm.
be spoken. But I found that it was releasing for
Yes.
me because, you know, the details don't matter. The story doesn't matter, but it's the effects of me. But I also got to see, just how amazingly strong because of the clarity and as I moved through the emotions and the feelings that I could feel from within, and I go, wow, and I'm moving through it
Yeah.
and not allowing it to hold me back from me expressing
Yes.
my, you know, I was frustrated. You're
Mm-hmm.
friggin' right, I was
Yes.
frustrated. But I'm not responsible for other people's behavior, conduct, or arrogance, or
Right.
lack of anything. I'm only responsible for myself. But then that's where, and then I had to go to court on Monday, which in that, and I asked my friend to come with me because I didn't think I could talk because every time I talked, I could just burst into tears.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's
No.
not about that. But this is a court
Yes.
professional,
And you want
you
to be
know,
articulate there, right? In
ex-
control. That's where the
it,
control thing. You'd want to be in control of your emotions so you don't become emotional with
yes,
your emotions, but that you can express your emotion without being emotional about it.
exactly. And that's where my friend came in and she said who she was and what she was there for. And because I knew these people, they mess with people psychologically.
Oh, yes.
Right? And
That's
they
their
tried to
game.
have, yeah, they tried to have it thrown out, but thank God I had the right arbitrator who saw through that immediately. And he
Mm-hmm.
goes, no, we're going to postpone.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not happy. And I could feel it because
Yeah.
they don't, and that's the thing, for me is I don't mind being held accountable for my own actions, my own behavior, my own conduct, but be damned if I'm going to be held accountable for somebody else's.
Amen to that. Amen to that. It's I have somebody I know right now, the two sides of it. Both of them have gone through pain in the past. And so when an argument comes up or a disagreement comes up, instead of dealing with what they're disagreeing with, they bring up the pain. And immediately everything that anybody else has happened to, has happened to them, was done to them, they now impose it on their new partner.
Yeah.
But your new partner is not them, right? And it's like, if you want to move forward with a new love, then you have got to let go of the old and stop projecting on this new person as somebody that is going to do the same to you because
Yeah.
you are almost willing it with constantly reiterating it.
Yep. Absolutely. Like I know there's been a lot of sacred unions where people are getting together for the first time in this lifetime, but yet
Yes,
they've been together many lifetimes. But just with
yes,
what you're saying, and the one thing why I respect these people so much is because of their owning their own stuff and
yeah,
what they try to do to the partner, but it's not that they meant to hurt the
no,
partner or try to project stuff. It's just that part of us that's wounded, but our willingness to look at ourselves, right, and go, when the other person says in holding us accountable, like i I just said this, like why like I'm not this person or that person, like I know stuff has happened to, but I'm not them.
I know.
I'm me. And then that gives us the opportunity to really hopefully step back, which these people are. And that's where we get to learn from each other and understand that we are we all have our baggage, we all have our garbage and our debris. But when we're in a situation, no matter if it's a partnership relationship or not, doesn't matter, any friendship, any relationship,
Yes.
is a two people coming together. And are you actually listening to hear what the other person, or
Yes.
are you interpreting based on your past experiences?
Perfectly said. Exactly. You know, are you projecting the past pain and the imposing on it? Like,
Yeah.
this person isn't doing it to you. So
No.
why are you misreading them? Why are you misjudging them? Why are you, you know, going down that rabbit hole? And it's like, no, they're not doing it to you. And but if they end up, it's like my ex, he treated me really, really badly. 20 something years later, he apologized, right? And he's my children's father. And he was not good to me in many ways. And it did cause a lot of physical breakdown in my body because of the emotional breakdown of what I went through for so long. And other people couldn't see it, of course, because it was an emotional, that's why I call it piranha, sucking the life out of me. And as I was pointing out to with my children, the scars are there. They always will be there. That's what scars are. They're there. Even if you can't remove them, they're there. They do make you more aware and perhaps a little weary in future of trusting people. You want to know more, you want to feel the vibe more before you rush into anything. I wish him well, but I have to understand I gave him the boots to kick me with. The fact that he kicked me is on him, but because I didn't place enough value on myself, I gave him the boots. When I gave him enough, when I gave myself enough self-love and value, he literally said he'd lost the control over me. I lost the control I had over you. I gave him that control. I
and
have
and
to
that
take responsibility for that.
and that's the thing for all of us. When I look at my past relationship, is exactly that. Nobody does anything to us that we don't allow them to do to us.
Yes.
And it's sometimes that's hard to get our heads wrapped
Mm-hmm.
around. But if you really go inside, because even with my last ex, that you know, there's all kinds of things that were happening. I ignored them because I could see the good in her,
Exactly. That they
right?
can't
I
see
could,
in themselves.
but they can't see in
No.
themselves, but what they do is they project everything onto others.
Yes.
And you know, I suffer from emotional, psychological, and physical abuse from her, right? And I won't fight back on any level.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was trying, knowing this and trying to make it, I could say the word make it work instead of just walk,
Yes.
because every time I walk away, she would creep back in. I allowed her to.
Yes.
And even when I ended the relationship, which would involve the cops,
Wow.
right? And you know that I let her back in again. But that's my incredible, amazing heart. That
Yes.
you know,
We do it for
and
the wrong reason. We think,
yeah,
okay, we know there's more in them than what they can see themselves. And they're like, if only if I do it this way or do it that way, I'll bring that out of them. Right?
yeah.
But if they're not willing to discover that for themselves,
So
doesn't matter how much you try and pull out, it's just going to be the same old rodeo all the time.
yep,
They've got to have
exactly.
that free will of wanting to come up. But so many people love the drama of the trauma.
Oh, they live in chaos. They live
Yes.
in all that shit.
Yeah.
And like I don't live in that shit. And
Mhm.
I never have, but I just didn't realize to the point that I
Yeah.
did not and have not. Um and that's where my own self-worth, like I've only had three relationships in my
Mhm.
life, and what I consider relationships, and they're not necessarily long term. But what I now know is this, is that if it if you when you meet the right person, the
Yeah.
real true right person, it's effortless.
Yes. Yes.
It is effortless. There's no struggles. You both want to be together,
You're
and
not
for me,
second guessing.
not second
What do
guessing.
they really mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Can I trust them? Because the frequencies are dancing together, right? You're making the same music. Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And
and
I'm not there. I've been single a very, very long time. I'm open to a relationship
Yep.
somewhere down the road. But again, it is not my dictation. It's just that unless of the same frequency, right? The same state of um, I don't need anyone
Yep.
because I found that love in
Exactly.
myself and I really like living with me. I like my own company and I didn't used to. I like my own company. I like who Sarah is today and she's worked hard to get here. I would like somebody in my life to share that with, but
Yes.
I don't need someone. And I think if we can get to the point of not needing so, it's not about somebody completing you.
No.
It's about someone complementing you. The two of you together complement each other. And I
Exactly.
don't mean in you're beautiful of this, that I mean the energies
Just
complement each other.
the and this is the thing, is that's where the relationship that really needs to be focused on is the relationship with self.
100%.
Do not look outside of yourself, and it's like no book, no nothing can teach you this stuff. This is something that's a consciousness that it comes from within, and we've always been guided. We just didn't necessarily understand that we were being guided,
Right.
and who we're really connected to. And it's just
Well, there's some
it's
people that have made the journey before us, and maybe they've written about it, maybe they speak about it, maybe they're podcasts about it. And I say inspiration begets invitation,
yeah,
right? When you're inspired by somebody else's journey and go, okay, I hadn't thought about it this way. Oh, epiphany here. Oh, I'm inspired there. It's an invitation for us to look at our own lives and how could I apply that knowledge? How can I apply that knowledge to me? Or somebody else is going through this. I thought I was the only one. And this is what they did. Gosh, I've got to try that because maybe it can help me get out of a situation. So I think we're the ones to take the journey. We've got to walk the walk, but we can let others encourage us by inspiring us to want to
yeah,
do it for ourselves.
exactly. It's for me is, sorry, it just went like that, which happens. Um, because I find that's why I say, it's us understanding who we really are, not what we think we are, but who we truly are from within
And
always.
liking yourself for who you are. No apologies. No
No,
apologies needed. No.
and it's like the word no is a sentence within itself.
Yes. And if
And
you
it's
can't hear it, that's your problem. But the no stands.
exactly, but we don't have to explain to somebody
No.
why we're saying no. We do
Yeah.
not need to explain or justify whatever
Right.
fits into that category, right? Just say no, thank you.
Exactly. Do it with grace.
Do, yep,
Always bring grace into your life. Always live through gratitude. Because even a
yep,
bad experience, we didn't enjoy going through the experience, but what we've learned from that experience, if we have chosen to learn, thank
yeah,
you for the lesson I've learned.
yeah.
You can keep the experience, but thank you for the lesson I've learned because now
Mhm.
it allows me A, B, C, and D, right? So be willing to go through that. Nobody wants to go through a bad experience, nobody. But those
No,
experiences are lessons, and the more that we learn from them and the faster we learn from them, the more we can move on from them. The
yeah.
more you want to keep being the victim, the more you keep worrying the sore and it becomes infected, right? So
Mhm.
it's a choice that we have to make. And it's like, sometimes I think it is when you're talking to yourself, or because I tell people to do a lot of mirror talk. Very hard to lie to yourself when you're looking at yourself eyeball to eyeball, right? But I think it's also, you know, that if somebody was going through that, you would want to give them the advice of how to see, help them out. Why can't you look in the mirror and be that friend and help yourself out?
Mhm. Yeah, because we're seeking, otherwise we're seeking to, yeah. So,
Validation, and
yeah.
nobody needs to validate you but you. As Popeye says, I am who I am. And for me, it's take me or leave me. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm somebody's strong cup of coffee. And you can take me or leave me. At one time, I would have felt a failure. Now,
Mm,
I just understand I may not be your preference.
yeah.
And that's okay. I'm not going to take it seriously. I'm not going to take it on. It is not something that's out to attack me. I simply am not your cup of tea. That's
Mm,
okay.
it is.
Right? And that's when
Yeah.
we can really play the music truthfully, because we're
Hmm.
not playing it to please another person's ear.
No.
We're expressing the love of life and the love of who you are and the love of the divine and how it comes through you. And that is the music you're presenting. Like I do with the podcast, I have
Hmm.
no control when it goes out there of who's going to listen, how they're going to listen, or what their reaction is going to be.
Hmm.
Right? So you just play your music from your heart, from your soul. Those that hear it, those that feel it, will those be the ones that it really connects to. And other
Yeah.
people that talk over it, that don't hear it, they're not ready for it.
Nope. Nope.
But
But
it
it's
doesn't
all,
stop us from playing.
it doesn't stop. And that's where, you know, I never worry about if anyone's actually watching the live or not. It doesn't
Right?
matter. It's I'm on here to express this energy in whatever way, shape, or form it is that needs to be expressed. And for whoever listens to it now or later, so be it, or down the road. Doesn't matter.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, the one thing I've really loved about doing these shows, and I've been doing them 11 years, and June is 10 years of my own network. Unfortunately, the
Mhm.
shows I did before was on another network and she's obliterated them, which really angers me, but let
Yeah.
it go. I have enough on my own on the shows here. It's just that there was such wisdom there. Um, I have people listening to a show that was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago and still getting something from it. Right. So don't just think, if obviously if you're promoting something at the moment and just doing that, that's a different thing. But
Yeah.
I don't think good advice or good wisdom dies. And it's there for somebody to pick up when they need to pick it up, when they're ready for it. Right. The teacher will be there when the student is ready. So,
Yeah.
and people can listen to one of your songs and it's all very nice. And then they can listen to another one and it's really spoken to them.
Yeah.
It's all a question of where are they at that time and how they receive. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I just redid my bio, as you know, a week ago, not even a week ago, last Friday. And I posted on my timeline, and somebody made this comment and remark. It just really spoke to my heart, to my
mhm,
soul. Just that, you know, that she felt that every time she listens to me, she felt that she's feels like I'm playing for her, with her,
yes, yes.
and just her response, I cannot articulate, but I can tell you this: when she spoke what she spoke, it just, and that going back to the letter from Jesus,
Yeah, yeah.
that for me to see the impact and the imprint I do have on people.
Hmm.
Is my intentions to do that? No, my intention is just to come and be present to the best of my ability and allow this energy to move in and through me, through my guitar, and touch people whatever way, shape, or form it is for them. But you know, do I understand what I do? Heck no.
And
I'm
do we need to?
clueless. Nope.
No,
Nope.
no.
Nope.
You do
Nope.
what you do, and those that feel it, see it, want it will acknowledge it. And I think this whole justify, verify, dedify,
Oh.
just go fry an egg. No, it's all about being present, and it's about opening up into the joy of life. We're not wondrous creatures anymore. I was talking to someone the other day, and what she's doing is exemplary in the line of work that she's doing, but I know how heavy it is. And I said to her, you have to make sure that you have an equal amount of joy in your life. Otherwise, it will gobble you up and spit you out. And we're
Yeah.
so busy chasing this image of what we should be and pleasing everyone else, we've forgotten to find joy in our life. And the joy is within you. It's waiting to express itself through whatever instrument you are. Please get out of your own way. Allow your spirit to come through you and take the journey. Go with the flow. Be in discovery of self by immersing yourself into something without thought.
Yeah.
Don't think it, feel it, do it.
Just be it.
Yes,
Just be.
you will become it.
You will become.
You
And this
will.
is the thing, because it's. I posted something, I think today or yesterday, about just show up. Your
Yes.
tribe will find you.
Yeah.
Try. You know, like it.
Yeah.
It's like if I try to say, okay, I need to. because when it comes to uh, marketing and all this, I'm not good at stuff. Like I have a very difficult time to learn what I've learned, and I'm getting better at what I've learned. Meaning, learning the looper was a
Mm-hmm.
huge, because I'm not good with this stuff. It's like, but it's like, yeah, I want to go do concerts. You're darn right.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, where do I start? I've been saying that to Spirit, like, hey, where do I start? Well, guess what? It's already happening because I already asked Spirit for help. And here's you and I,
Yes.
for example, and these other people, and that's where we connect with each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I don't want to be put in a pigeonhole
No.
of when I say this organized religion based, because
Mm,
I'm not into that side of the
no.
thing. And kudos for you who think that's cat's meow. Blessings to you.
Yes, exactly.
But but
As
I
long as it is of free will and that you are still allowing your own consciousness to be conscious.
exactly, exactly. So it's, yeah, it's
Well, the universe gave me a saying a few years ago, which I repeat often because I think it needs to still be repeated. The universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up, to
yeah,
change it up, and to grow up. Grow
yeah.
up vibrationally, but also grow up and quit whining, right?
But that's where if we going back to our thoughts, like if you focus on the stuff, well, you're going to go down that rabbit hole.
Exactly.
You're doing this to
What you
yourself.
feed is what's going to grow. So be
Yeah,
careful of what you seed, how you water it, and how you nurture it. Because if you end up with weeds or poison ivy, that's what you seeded. That's what you
yeah,
fed, right?
and yeah, and don't be for me. And I've said this when I just moved in here just over a year ago, March 1st last year, and I met one of my neighbors. And she was going on how they're going to tear down the buildings, put up high rises and all this in this huge complex. And I looked at her. I said, first of all, I don't think that way. I don't want to talk about that. And I don't want to hear it.
Mm,
Right. But that's where she's doing this to
yeah.
herself. And I
Yes.
understand that she doesn't get that. But it does mean I have to sit here and listen to
Right.
your,
She's the
your,
different what if. I'm the what if this? And then the
yeah.
others are, but what if that?
Well,
Right? Which what if do you
okay.
want to feed?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because if you do not take, I call it dabbing, it's like with my music. I dab my feet in, right? Dab. Oh,
Yes.
that was nice. Oh, that was nice.
Yes.
Because, and that's where, don't try to make it that.
Yeah.
Dab our toes in and sense and feel our way through. But here's the thing is, do not allow others outside influence to
Yes.
influence you in what you're going to do. And that's where we need to use our discernment and who we speak this of.
Yes.
Just do it within. I don't tell a lot of people what I do because I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to tell people. But the thing is, I'm always dipping and
Mm,
pushing myself in the most loving, incredible way. And like this is just the beginning for me of
yeah.
me getting out there, because it's my willingness, my heart, my soul's desire to raise the vibration. Is that my goal, to raise the vibration? Not really. That's my intentions, but I'm
Yes.
not going in with that
It's got
agenda.
to be done. Well, no, I mean, I was
Yeah.
given a whole vision for self-discovery wisdom and the orchardofwisdom.org. I was given a whole vision of where to take it. And that was given over 5 years ago. And I've looked at this person about, can we align? Can we align? Can we align? No, no, no. And then it was other people I'd like to work with you. And that they all went off and did their own thing. And this is the year everybody's come back and go, I've done this. I've built that. Let's align. Right. So
Exactly.
it is sometimes you have to wait for the synchronicity. That doesn't mean it's not happening. It didn't happen yesterday. So what's wrong? No.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you
Just
believe in the vision, and I was given a vision I believe in, and I'm one person to create a graphic for it. When you believe in the vision, you keep the vision. I'm a person that I'm in a movie all the time. I don't just see static pictures. I'm in a movie all the time. So I make that movie or something I want to see. The universe knows. Don't just tell the universe, I want this and I want that. No, tell them how you want to feel. Tell the universe how you want to feel, and they will give you what is going to make you feel that way. They get out of the head, right? Now
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about your piece of music, and we're going to close the show out on the journey of life. And the journey of life, everybody's going through it. Everyone who's going through a journey of life. Some people choose to climb Mount Everest. Some people just like to go along the way. There we are. And it's about the willingness to take the journey,
Yeah.
the willingness. And everybody's on a journey. You cannot abstain from it. You can't get someone else to do it for you.
No.
And how rocky it is up to you,
Yeah.
right? So let us talk about how the journey of life came about, because I know it came about for you in a special way, this particular number.
Yeah. I just want to say this, and I started out with saying this a bit ago about lost myself, which is not really lost myself. I was opening up to myself, and I reached out for counseling. And as I opened up to my own thoughts, feelings, and emotions, I would channel that energy through my guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what I was doing was very incredibly special. And that did I understand what I was doing? Heck, no. But um, what happened was all this beautiful energy was being shared in my music, which is on my first album. But I have this friend of mine who struggled every day to be alive,
Mm-hmm.
and she tried many, many times, and she she finally succeeded. And I got home from work, and my roommate Barry said to me, "Ernie, there's a message on the phone for you." And he goes, "I just want to prepare you that it's from Gordy." And I looked at him and I said, "She's gone." He goes, "Yeah." And so the next day I'm at work. This is the only song to this date that's been actually like 100% downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always, channeling energy and everything. But with when I felt that I wanted to channel her song, I was getting downloads what to do with my left hand and right hand, and it came in pieces every night, morning, afternoon. Just it was a magical ride, and I finished it that morning of her service and played it, and it's called the Journey of Life. Um, I may change it to the Circle of Life,
Mm-hmm.
and that this song is all my songs are very unique and special, but this one has a personal
Mm-hmm.
um, attachment to it because of how I felt about her. Because the sad part was, and I think this goes for all of us, that it's like friendships, counselors, doctors, doesn't matter who you have in your life, that if they do not resonate with you, I ask you to honor yourself
Mm-hmm.
and find another person. Because my friend Judy, um, because they knew, most people, we don't know anything about them because we don't talk about this stuff. And when I opened up to them, her and her husband, about me, and Judy looked at me and said, you, I said, she goes,
Mm-hmm.
not you. And I said, yeah, great facade, eh?
Yeah.
And so I discovered over a few conversations we had that her doctor sent to a male psychiatrist. And I asked her, I said, do you feel comfortable and safe with him? And she struggled to answer. I could see, I could feel it. And Gordy said, you can tell Ernie. And that little girl's voice, I'll never forget that. She said, no. And I offered to get her into my counselor. And I made it clear to her that you would have to uh, talk to my counselor, Farida. And so on my next session with Farida, I asked her, told her what's going on. And she goes, yeah, but she has to call me. I said, yeah, I've already told her that. And the sad part was that she couldn't. It's not that she didn't want to. And that's the thing about all of us, that look at the surroundings, look at what we allow because of what we're told. It's like going to a psychiatrist. I personally have my own feelings about a psychiatrist.
Me too.
And that if you're not comfortable with whomever you're working with, that goes friends, family, everything. It's just not about this. It's about everything. We have free will, we have choices.
Yes.
And I ask people to honor themselves, because nobody can honor you more or better than you yourself. And with Judy's song, there's more to this song. And I know that. But I'm so grateful and feel very blessed and honored that I have her song
Mm-hmm.
with me always. Yeah.
And,
Wow.
I always say that, when I go to funerals, I very often feel the presence of the person who's passed. And, that song was downloaded probably by her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I want you to say this about me. And, just like I said earlier, 98% of the people that leave this earth too early by their own hand, it is to escape the pain. And where does that pain come from? It's when the expectations of what everybody else wants of them is
Yeah.
more than what they can give. And they're empty inside because they don't know who they are anymore. They're lost in the persona, and the truth of who they really are is not allowed to be. I mean, I'm sure that they would say, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to stop the pain. But I've been at that crossroads myself quite a number of times. And when I had children, I said I'll never do that to them. But before then, it was like, would anybody miss me? Nobody would care anyway. This earth isn't ready for me. But it just wasn't allowed of me. But I do understand why people do leave us too soon, because there is so much pain and anguish in this world that we are the instruments of. We do this to each other. We hurt each other. The amount of hate, the amount of infliction of that hate, the amount of people who are in pain that then inflict pain on others to hope to ease their own pain, and the
Yeah.
power of hate and the greed of hate, and the bottom line of it all is insecurity, because nobody feels secure in being themselves, and they take the path of hate and blame and shame, and it's everybody else's fault, or they take the journey of taking it all on themselves to heal, and it becomes too much of a burden. Or for some, like yourself, you've worked through it. You've gone through that pain, and now you've become that rebirth of who you are, without apology, without any dictation, without
Yeah.
any need for clarification. You simply are. But for those of us that chose the path, it wasn't an easy one.
Nope.
The experience wasn't an easy one, but we decide because we knew it has to be better tomorrow. I have to be here for a reason. I've just got to look for that purpose. And when I do, I firmly believe that we're here to be of service to one another.
Yeah.
And then when we are here for that one another, we're here for more than just ourselves. And we become at home with who we are. The hate rhetoric is something that we put a blockage on. And what we do is wish them white light, wish them love. For me, I wish all those that live in the world of hate to have their consciousness raised. Because when their consciousness is raised and they know the pain they're inflicting on themselves and others, how could you knowingly continue to do it?
But here, you just said something, because when we deny that we have pain inside of us, that's where we project from,
Right.
because we're denying that pain within ourselves, because we're supposed to be, I call it act, saying, do, behave, right? That
Mm-hmm.
facade. And I know in my walls to myself is not to anybody else. And I'm so grateful for my counselor, Ferda, because she created a safe container
Mm.
for me to come in on a weekly basis, and that I got to open up to myself,
Yeah.
to my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own emotions, and started seeing things instead of dismissing. And here's a great example. Because they're my aunt and uncle, right? And I did everything I was supposed to do. But the one thing when I come out to them as being a gay person, which was whenever it was, it's like 20 years ago. And because, to me, a relationship is when you can be honest with
Honest.
somebody,
Mm.
honest and truthful. And I
Safely.
told, yeah, and I told them, oh, well, we have no problem. We love you, blah, 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 all words.
Yes.
But then the action came out, which was just the opposite. And homophobia,
Ah, yeah.
right? And it's like, what else do these gay people want? They want to get married. What else do they want? Like, we're asking for the same thing everybody else has. It's no different, but they didn't put that to me.
Mm.
And it really got my head out of the sand. And that's where it's not what people say,
Yes.
it's what they do.
And how cruel they do it.
And
It,
sometimes how friggin' cruel that
yeah.
they do it.
And also how easy it is for other people to then get on that bandwagon.
Oh, yeah. And this is the thing for me, because what I started to really see, that just I cannot be a part of that.
Right.
And I've distanced myself ever since from all my family. I think it was 13 years I didn't talk to my dad. He's a belligerent asshole drunk.
Right.
Right? He's still an asshole, but when he's drinking, he's really a big
Right.
fucking. And this is the whole thing. It's like,
And he was a person in pain, and that's the reason why he drank. And then there was no accountability of what he did when he was drunk, because
eh,
it was denial, denial, denial. It's
yep,
everybody else's fault. It's not mine.
yeah.
Balderdash.
Minimize, dismiss,
Yes.
move
Yeah.
on, it's like people saying to us, well, it's in the past, get over it, excuse me, it's part of something that's happened to me.
It becomes the scars.
Yes.
Yes. But that's why
And
I'm
that,
saying it becomes the scars, and we recognize the scars, and we're far more aware that we're not going to ever go down that road again. But what we've got to let go of is the victimization, because
yeah,
we're the one that's carrying being victim, right?
it's like when we use the language, they did that to me.
Yes.
They did that to
Yeah.
me. Like, no, 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 no. And I'm not dismissing anybody from that. I'm saying pay attention to the words you use, the
Yes.
language you use,
Yes.
or like, look at yourself in that, because nobody can do anything to us that we do not allow them to do that to us.
Subconsciously, because we don't allow them consciously, it's
Nope.
subconsciously. And why do we
Exactly.
allow it subconsciously? Because we've been brought up to think less of ourselves, so we're deserving of this
Yep.
abuse.
Exactly.
Vicious
Exactly.
cycle. Yes, vicious
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah. It is.
We could carry on talking for so much longer,
Yeah.
definitely. But we are coming to a close here. So now I would like you very, very much to tell people how they can get hold of your music, what your site is, and where else they can get hold of you.
Okay. Well, Spirit gave me the name a latter part of 2017, Soulful Guitarist.
Mm.
That really spoke. And so to find me, the easiest way to find me is if you start searching for Soulful Guitarist, and I go by Ernestine Day. And that, as I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. I'm working on the Instagram side of things for my music side. Like, I'm already on there, but I'm working on getting on there to do lives. Um, and you know, yeah. So on my
And you're
Facebook
also
page,
on SoundCloud too.
I'm
Ernie Day.
okay. When I say this, I want to clarify something here. Is that also in 2017, I was taking an intuitive development program, and this lady, one of the ladies in the group, along with myself, her guides told her to tell me to tune my guitar to 432,
Mhm.
which I never heard tell of until then. And so I
Mhm.
did. All I had to do was go to Google, and I listened to somebody tune the guitar to 440 versus 432. felt it instantly. So with what's on on all the different outlets right now are in 440. They're not in
Mm,
432. I had all my music converted in 2021 from 440 to 432. The reason why I'm clarifying that is that if you want the 432 frequency, go to my website, soulfulguitarist.com. You'll get the 432, or
mm-hmm,
you can reach out to me privately, through email or DM me, and I'll send it to you directly that way, right? Because I started to work on this last year, but I matter first, not this other business stuff. But I'm in the works of redoing everything, as I also just redid. I'll show you this. I'm very proud of this. All my albums last year. This is this is my first album. Me, myself, oops, me, myself, and I.
mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like now. And then instrumental silence is this, and soulful connections is this. The um so soulfulguitarist.com has all my 3 albums there. The new stuff is been worked on last year, but I've been not holding off, but it's not ready. Put
Mm-hmm.
it that way. It's not ready. Something's going on. But yeah, so Ernestine Day, soulful guitarist. You can find me online, and I would love for people to come and just hang out.
You know, the thing about this music, because I've listened, you sent me a whole load and I just listened to it, and is, somebody's going through some stress right now, or some anxiety right now, or maybe an illness right now, or in a crux of having to make a decision and look for clarity. Your music is one where it doesn't have to speak to the head, and go
Speaks to the
straight to
heart.
the heart and the soul. And that's where the answers are, if we can get our head out of it. The head is looking for clarity, and the soul and the heart are going to bring the clarity. But if you've closed something off or it's not the right time, the head hasn't got it. So it's flapping in the wind. So when you listen to the music that is speaking to the soul, is speaking to the heart, speaking to the spirit action, then that mind will find clarity. And your music is one where they can listen to it mindlessly, right? You don't have to think about it. It's there. You feel it. It's that comforting friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it will help you kind of let the heart and soul focus in on what it needs to do, because the mind doesn't need to analyze it or deal with it, right?
Exactly, and that's where it's interesting. And I just is this in my first album, Me, Myself, and I was guided, and Spirit told me to take one of the songs and make it into an album by itself. That's instrumental silence, which is 55 minutes and 43 seconds long. And then in 2016, or sorry, 2021, when I went back in the recording studio to record my second meditation album, which is my third album, and which is called Soulful Connection, is 53:34 long, one song. But you talk about being just being that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I know that, and when I say this, that a lot of my music, that's my specialty.
Yes.
Let's say that to bring you, it's like with my sound baths, it's like
Mm.
it's just juicy.
It's something like, a lot of things they want you to think about it. Think about it. We're telling you, don't think, feel.
Don't think, feel,
Just
be.
feel. Just let the music let you feel.
Yeah,
Let it equilibralize you, let it calm you down, let the soul voice come through, and just, keep the head out of it. You're not going to think it, you're going to feel it. And
be
that's the
it.
beauty of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where it comes from. So we're going to close out with the journey of love. So I thank you so much for sharing with us today for your first podcast.
thank you.
So much here that we've uncovered. We've actually gone 2 hours. So, which happens on my shows. When we really got some good juicy stuff going, we're not going to shut it down. And we could carry on talking, but I do have to put a limit
Yep,
on things.
yep. Appreciate that.
And thank you for just opening up and sharing, being honest and open. Um, Vulnerability is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and give others. And we give that vulnerability discerningly. We give it to the people that we know that will honor it, right? But giving it to yourself is one of the most important things that you need to do in life. And when you do it, and you are beautifully in your vulnerability. You're at truth with yourself, right? It's got nothing to do with the head. It's all got to do with the heart, soul, and spirit, and the head will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it, but get the others in sync first, right? Honor the heart, the soul, and the spirit. Thank you so much for sharing. And again,
Thank you.
her site is, quickly go back to it there. Her site is, where are you? There it is.
Soulful guitarist.
Soulful Guitarist. So in the name itself, you know it's going to be speaking to the soul. And again, she's on YouTube, she's on Instagram, she's on SoundCloud, and you can email her any day at Ymail. Is it Ymail?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I haven't heard of.
Ymail. It's part of Yahoo.
Okay, I've not heard of that. Right, Yahoo. It's so far from Yahoo that didn't put that connection together.
Yep,
So
it's okay.
we go Gmail. Why not Yahoo? Like,
Yeah,
right. But thank you so much for sharing with us today. And we're going to
thank
leave
you.
you with this piece of music. And on her show page, there will be a couple of other pieces of music as well. And I'll ask you just to sit back and listen, or you're going to take that long drive or that walk or whatever it is. Just let the music speak to you the way it needs to speak to you. Right? Oh, how do I need to feel? No, don't ask that question. Just feel.
Just,
Just
just
do.
be,
Just
be,
be.
and allow
Yeah.
yourself to be silent with yourself
Yeah.
and listen.
Yes. So much will be revealed in that silence.
Oh,
Just learn to be silent. And you don't have to be still, although it's nice. You can be busy having your mind go and do something else while you are listening, right? And that's really
yeah,
important. So thank you,
yeah.
Annie, for being the first podcast. I know there'll be
Thank
many more of
you.
them for you. And thank you for sharing and being open and so honest, because through that, it gives permission for somebody else to be open and honest and take their own journey. So thank you. So
Thank you.
until next time, folks, enjoy the music. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.